This is Bruce Tharpe, the Schacho of professional wrestling, welcoming all of you to the Pornhub.
It's Fig Hub community.
Sorry,
it's a Fig Hub community, bro. I told you.
The Fig Hub. I apologize for that. But what I want to tell you is this. Whenever you're around the Schacho, you know you have your life in your own hands.
Right, I've heard that.
And you have assumption of risk.
Welcome to the Fig Hub community, where we talk all things wrestling and collectibles, debauchery, unboxings and raffles, and beers, auctions and fig hunts, beers.
Starring Eric Hernandez, the Weasel, Christian, the Big C, the Debauchery, and me, Jerry.
So before we start, we always got to thank our sponsor, 5x5 Brewing Company out of Mission, Texas. You can actually find Brunette Bombshell now at your local HEB, Feldman's, etc. And we're proud to actually be drinking the best beer in the valley. Best beer anywhere, right, Christian?
Yeah, that's pretty good. They just finished canning these. These are brand new. You can find these just about everywhere in Texas now.
The official beer of the Fig Hub community.
It's awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud.
Cheers. Salud. Salud.
Kampai.
So we're here with the one and only Bruce Tharpe of NWA fame. He's actually allowed us to be in his home. Thank you for letting us be in your palatial estate.
Thanks for inviting us over.
We appreciate it. This is such a great time. We're already having a blast, as you can tell. Bruce, man, we're so excited to have you here.
My pleasure. My pleasure to have you here at my home. We're sitting here at poolside. It's a beautiful evening.
Yeah, that's how we do it in Brownsville, Texas, baby.
Poolside, baby.
Poolside, that's how we do it.
Cheers.
So, Bruce Tharpe, NWA President from, what was it? 2012 to 2017, am I correct?
That's correct. Former NWA President.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And, but I've been in the business a long time. I was counting the years up just today, you know, before we did the show.
Yeah.
And I actually started in the business when I was about 17 years old, back in Florida, Tampa, Florida.
Is that where you were born?
Yes, Tampa, Florida. So do the math. I've been in the business probably, give or take, about 43 years.
Wow, that's amazing, man.
That's nice.
And if I'm correct, you started refereeing, right? No, maybe.
Well, actually, if you really want to know where I first started in the business,
okay.
When I was about 13 years old, I sold Cokes at the Fort Homer Armory in Tampa. You know, and I remember seeing guys like Rocky Johnson, you know, and Pat Patterson and Harley Race back in the day when they were young. And in fact, when Rocky Johnson was there, I remember this little boy running around the armory when he was little, Rocky Johnson's son. He grew up to become Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I remember those days.
When did you move into Brownsville? Like, how old were you when you came back?
Texas.
When you came into South Texas, literally the southernmost point of Texas, which is where we were born and raised.
Right.
And we got to meet somebody like Bruce Tharpe.
Right. Well, as you know, and I'm not sure if the people at home know, I'm also an attorney.
Yeah.
And I've been a practicing attorney for more than 32 years. And so my first venture into the Valley, so to speak,
Was it because of work?
was in 1989. I came down here. I was working for the district attorney's office.
There you go.
And I remember, you know, of course, my passion is wrestling. Wrestling has always been in my blood. Even though I'm an attorney and I was busy being a lawyer, I always had my foot in the wrestling profession. So when I was a prosecutor down here at the DA's office here in Cameron County, Texas, during the week, on the weekends...
I know the Cameron County DA's office very well.
On the weekends...
I've been on the other side of the law, baby.
We won't talk about that. But when I was prosecuting during the week, on the weekends I was wrestling in Mexico under the mask.
Okay, so I wanted to bring that up. So you used to wrestle Matamoros.
Wrestled in Matamoros, Rio Bravo, Reynosa. You know, most of the local.
That's all border towns along Texas.
Along the frontier of Mexico. Some local towns here in San Benito, Brownsville.
That's great stuff, man.
Awesome.
So you worked the gimmick. You worked under a mask.
I did.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good stuff. So,
and of course, before you ask the question, of course, the identity must also always.
Yeah. We don't. Kayfabe, baby. We don't play with that. So I find it very interesting that like you're a Brownsville native, just like we are, or not a Brownsville native, but like you. I mean, you consider Brownsville your hometown, don't you? Like,
yes,
like it's been a big part of your life, right?
Yes.
So the only other person that I could think of is Chris Christopherson, right? Like that is. I was trying to make the connection. Chris Christopherson.
You know, I met Chris Christopherson.
I know you have. Yeah, that's amazing. And his son is wrestling now.
In Vegas. Yeah, he's a super nice guy. Very humble.
So Chris Christopherson has written one of the greatest songs ever, Sunday Morning Coming Down, that Johnny Cash recorded. And it's, I mean, if you never heard that song, you're living under a rock. It's a beautiful song.
Well, has anybody ever heard of Me and Bobby McGee?
No.
By Janis Joplin?
Oh, yeah.
Someone in the back.
You know?
Hey, girl in the back.
That's the most, really famous one. Me and Bobby McGee.
Oh, really?
Janis Joplin, recorded. Chris Christopherson.
Wow.
That one.
That's amazing. He's a Brownsville native, man. So there's at least that connection. Like he's a Brownsville native, and he's in the wrestling biz just like you are. And I'm sure you've seen him all the time. Like in Vegas, right? And
I've seen him a time or two. Yeah.
So one of the things I really wanted to talk about, like that means a lot to me personally as a kid, was the IWF, man, and what you were doing ahead. You were ahead of your time. You had a public access deal, right, here in the Rio Grande Valley, and I used to watch your shows and like stay up like till midnight to watch the shows, and you were all over them, like telling people to hit the locker room, and you know what I mean? Like you were the commissioner, but you really were running things behind the scenes, and we all know that, right? So great stuff, man, and it meant a lot to me as a kid. And I used to go to your shows at Sholem here in Brownsville, and man, you brought some great talent. I remember I saw my first hardcore match there, and that was all because of you. I remember this one time they were having this match, and for those of y'all that don't know or do know, my brother Aron from Panteon was pretty crazy in those years, and we went to your show and we were all hanging out, and there was a hardcore match, and they went out to the parking lot, and like everybody was fighting, and like your camera crew was filming the whole thing. My brother Aron thought it was a great idea to go into the ring and start getting the photo shoot in the ring while all this was happening. And he's being obnoxious and like doing like the suck it and doing all this stuff for his personal like MySpace page at the time, I guess. And then as soon as the wrestlers came back in, he ate it. He's like, fuck, what the hell? And he ran right out. God. And before I knew it, he was sitting right next to me again. And dude, you brought so many great memories into my life. Like, and my brother, we talk about it still to this day. Like that, those are some fun times, man. And a lot of people don't talk about that part of your career, man. Like, how was that? Like, how did you get that TV deal? How much fun did you have doing that? Like, was it fun? As fun as it looked?
It was awesome. That was my first dabbling into the promotional aspect of it. Some years after that, Carmine DeSpirito came into my life.
Yeah.
Here in the Valley, and he and I started promoting shows together.
Cheers to Carmine.
But absolutely, cheers
to Carmine.
But before the Carmine era, I had the IWF.
Yeah.
And I promoted the IWF. We produced television. It was the first time I ever did that. I did it for probably about 4 years.
Yeah.
And we would...
that was a while back. I was like 13, 14 years old.
We would film TV once a month.
Yeah.
We'd film 4 weeks of TV in one night.
Yeah.
And I've got to acknowledge and thank Jorge de la Colina, the president of Televisa, Channel 7 in Matamoros, Mexico.
Yes, sir.
Who I actually made the TV deal with, and all the people on their crew in Mexico. They would bring the truck over, and they would film it. Had about 3 or 4 different cameras. I would go over to Mexico during the week. We would edit.
That's
4
amazing,
shows.
Man. When you could at the time.
It was very
can't do that anymore, yeah.
It's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very dangerous in Mexico.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
Tamaulipas.
I don't go anymore.
I haven't been to Mexico in probably 12 years.
Same here, man. I have family over there, and I don't go. He goes, but he's different than we are.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things are going to change.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it will.
Hopefully.
Mexico is a beautiful country.
It is.
I love Mexico. Before it got dangerous over there, I traveled extensively over in Mexico. Monterrey had some great wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know,
still
over
do.
there.
They still do.
So yeah, I love to go to the wrestling in Monterrey. Easily 3,000 or 4,000 people in the arenas there.
Any
every
given
week.
day, and they're spoiled, dude. Like they have a show every other day over there, right? And like
at least,
it's
like,
still
once-
fill. They fill it every time.
Yeah,
At least
it's
once a
amazing.
week.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. So, I remember I finally got the nerve when I was like, I had to have been like 19, and I emailed you, and I was like, I really want to be a part of the wrestling business, and I will never forget the exact words I said. I said were, I cannot believe that my dream is happening in my own backyard, and I need to be a part of it. And I emailed you, and I think it touched you in some sort of way because you replied to me, and you invited me to your office. And I don't know if you remember this. It was a long time ago. I was a kid, and you invited me to your office, and I saw your plaques, your Ric Flair belt, your pictures with Ric Flair, with who else was it?
Different legends.
Terry Funk.
Correct.
I remember Terry Funk is one of my personal heroes, and Christians too. And the Briscoes, like you had a lot of great pictures. I was like, man, I need to be around this guy, right? I'm like, man, I need to be involved. And you're like, yeah, like I was so excited to like meet you and like be there in your office. Like, I did it, I'm there. You're like, yeah, go meet Carmine at the show on Sunday. I show up to the show on Sunday and Carmine puts me on chair duty, and I'm fucking setting up chairs. I'm setting up chairs and
You gotta
numbering.
start somewhere.
I know.
You know?
I know. Hear me out. No, I'm going there.
That's called paying your dues.
I know,
Yeah.
and I was paying my dues at the time. So I'm setting up chairs and I'm numbering everything. And Carmen's like, "Hey, are you done yet?" I'm like, God damn it, Carmen, slow down. But dude, it changed my life. It really did, because for the first time in my life, I got to see how the magic was done. And it's kayfabe, right? I will never discuss what I saw, but it was beautiful, and it changed my whole perspective on everything. I was like, I gotta be a part of this. I gotta be involved, like in some form or fashion. And here we are. I'm 32 now. You know, here with my friend Bruce. I consider you a friend now.
Cheers.
And yeah, I consider you a friend now. And like we're doing this. Like, yes, I'm still involved in the wrestling business in my own little way, right? Like, and it means a lot to me, dude.
You're
Like,
involved in wrestling in a very big way with this podcast.
Oh
you
man,
know?
thanks, man. Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about this podcast. A lot of people are listening. So,
Thanks.
you're contributing a lot to the business, and I got to acknowledge that and tell you that we appreciate you.
Oh man, thank you,
Your
dude.
efforts are
Yeah,
probably
yeah. Hell yeah. No, cheers to that. I'm out of beer, so I won't start this.
Tell us about your time in Japan. How was that?
How did it come about?
I started going back to Japan in 2012 with the world champion. We got invited by New Japan Pro Wrestling to defend the world championship, and that started on a 3-year journey. Went back to Japan 18 times
Damn.
during that 3-year
You
period.
promised you were going to take me one day.
You know,
What happened?
We need to go. I mean, I really want to go back. Japan was
Yeah.
awesome. In fact, working for New Japan has got to be one of the high points of my career.
Yes, sir.
It was awesome. Traveled from one end of the country to the next, in all different sort of weather conditions, from blizzard conditions to typhoons. Never experienced any earthquakes. Thank goodness I didn't experience any of
Wow.
that. But working with New Japan was great. They, of course, book only the top talent from all around the world.
Yeah.
So I got to meet some of the top wrestlers.
But
everywhere.
give yourself some credit. You were one of the top talents in the world yourself.
Well, we appreciate
and yeah,
thank you.
I
Appreciate
mean that, dude. I really do. And I really think that Jericho stole your gimmick. Have you seen the way he looks? The way he dresses and shit? Like, dude, he stole it from you.
Well,
yeah, he did. He totally did. And I love Jericho, but he totally stole it from this guy.
I gotta give Chris Jericho props, man. I'm one of his biggest fans.
Yeah,
to
so
be
am I.
honest.
So are we.
You know, the guy's got incredible talent. I mean, I followed his career from even when he was in WCW into the WWE.
Yes, sir.
And what he's doing with AEW, All Elite
Yeah.
Wrestling, is really spectacular. So, you know, doesn't matter how the guy wants to dress. He's got his own character. He's got his own personality. You know, and I've got to, give props to Chris Jericho.
So the
I
whole
think he's one of
gimmick
the
was
best.
they would call you the Schacho. Schacho?
That's
How do you
correct.
say it? Schacho?
Well, it's
Christian? Schacho? Schacho?
I don't even know what that is.
Schacho?
What does that
There
mean?
you go.
Schacho?
You're saying it perfectly.
So what does it mean? Why would they call you that in Japan? And that became like your whole presentation, and it was great.
Well, I appreciate that. In Japanese, Schacho means president.
Oh.
And so I was president of a very prominent wrestling organization
Yes, sir.
at that time.
Yeah.
And so they started calling me Schacho. And
I said Schacho.
yeah, that's the Schacho.
Okay.
That's correct. I speak a little Japanese, which is one of the reasons why we started going back to Japan, because I would speak to the Japanese, on the microphone. Watashi wa skoshi nihongo hanasemasu.
What does that mean?
I speak Japanese.
So what is that? What you just said? What did that
I
mean?
said I speak Japanese.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's good. But you said it like really defiantly.
Watashi no namae wa Bruce Tharpe desu. My name is Bruce Tharpe.
Hell yeah.
Watashi wa nihongo hanasemasu. I speak Japanese.
Oh.
And then of course I would talk to the Japanese people and tell them how superior the United States were.
Of course.
And how the Japanese wrestlers were weak and lazy. Things like that. We were the superior
Ultimate heel. Right?
So, I was basically telling the truth because, we were victorious most of the time over there in Japan. But it was a great time. We wrestled a lot of top talent.
And I know, like, you helped, what is it, the Crown Jewel, Chase
Owens.
and he's become a huge deal over there, man.
Well, he's over in Japan right now.
I remember him because of you, which is amazing.
He's
Bullet Club.
Yes. He's
doing great things, man.
Doing great things. In fact, he's going to celebrate Christmas over there in Japan this year, which is interesting. But he is only over there because of his talent.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great wrestler.
He is.
And he wouldn't be there for any other reason other than he's an awesome wrestler. So, got to give him props for that. Doing great, Chase.
There was that one picture, Thunder Liger ready to rail you out. Can you tell us anything about that?
Jushin Thunder Liger. Got to be another highlight of my career was working with him. And worked against the great Jushin Thunder Liger in matches all over Japan. Worked in several different matches against him. And different matches in Las Vegas. And when I first started going to Japan, I'm a wrestling fan. I mean,
at heart, otherwise we wouldn't be doing any of this, right? Like, you gotta still have that in your heart.
So I'm in the dressing room in Japan, and I'm like, where's Jushin Liger? I want to see him without his mask. Where is this guy? And I kept looking for him, and I couldn't find out which one of these Japanese guys is Jushin Liger.
Yeah.
Finally,
Japanese legend, by the way.
Yeah, absolute legend. Finally, I got to meet him, and not only meet him, but became his friend. And he's a former World Junior Heavyweight Wrestling champion. Also.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a great story about Jushin Thunder Liger. He was actually wrestling Chase Owens in Japan. In Las Vegas, Nevada. And so we flew Jushin Liger in. I picked him up at the airport. And it just so happens that we had a very lovely Chinese female ring announcer that was also in from Taipei. And she introduced the match. She's the ring announcer for New Japan Pro Wrestling in Taipei. And she's an actress and just
gorgeous. I'm sure she's gorgeous.
Absolutely drop dead beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I flew her in. And about a day or two after that, for some reason, we lost our hotel rooms.
What do you mean you lost your hotel?
I mean, there was a convention in town or something.
How does that happen,
And we lost our room. She lost her room and I lost mine. And we had no place to stay. And so Jushin Liger, the legend, has
mask or no mask?
He has 2 beds in his room.
Okay.
So, of course, the female announcer and I were, of course, sleeping in separate beds. So Jushin Liger says, you guys stay, you have no room? You guys stay in my room.
Okay.
Awesome, dude.
The legend. I'm like, okay. So we go to his room, and Jushin Liger starts pulling together 2 chairs and fixing the chairs to where he's going to sleep. He's going to give me a bed.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to give the girl a bed.
The extra.
And Jushin Liger, the worldwide
legend,
superstar, international legend, is going to sleep on 2 chairs.
Wow.
And I'm like, no, I sleep on 2 chairs. And he's like, no, I sleep on 2 chairs.
You all get into
and
it.
we kind of like get into it there. And finally I realized, well, this is the legend. I better...
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
I better defer to his wishes.
Yeah.
He slept in the 2 chairs.
What?
You know, and this was like for 2 or 3 nights.
Wow.
He allowed us to stay with him in his room.
That's amazing, man. That's super humble.
Awesome
I mean,
story.
And you know what? Like that's something like that's the thing you hear. It's like that's probably why he got to how he got because he is that type of person.
He's
right?
humble.
Yeah.
I mean, such a humble person, even though he really is a worldwide legend.
Yeah, and he's amazing.
One last quick story about Jushin Thunder Liger.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Go ahead,
During
dude.
the same trip in Las Vegas, you know, and I wanted to give him a non-wrestling experience.
Yeah.
You know, he does wrestling all the time.
You're gonna take him on the strip
time.
or what, Bruce?
I took him to see Elton John.
Oh, that's even
awesome.
better.
I took Jushin Liger to see Elton John.
That's awesome.
And he loved it. I told him, we go see Elton John. And Jushin Liger goes, says, Englishman? And I'm like, yes, Englishman. And he loved it. He sang every song.
Oh, no way.
So he
Really?
He was a
that
fan.
was
That's
wonderful,
amazing.
Wonderful non-wrestling experience with Jushin
That's
Thunder
great.
Liger.
That's a great.
That's an awesome
That's
story,
probably.
man.
We're gonna start this whole video with that story. That's amazing. I would never even have thought. Yeah, great stuff, man. Literally a Japanese legend, international legend,
Worldwide
a wrestling legend.
No doubt.
Like literally, man, and hopefully he's enjoying his retirement. He definitely deserves it, man.
You know, he's a cancer survivor as well.
He's worked his ass off
He's
for so long.
This man, years ago, 10, 15 years ago, survived a brain tumor.
Yeah.
And he had brain surgery. And, I mean, life-threatening brain surgery. Recovered from that and came back to wrestling and became a world champion.
Yeah.
Hey, Bruce, tell us about this guy, Shinsuke Nakamura Twitter feud.
Yeah, you had a really good fucking a good feud with him, man. What was going on? Was that legit? Was that gimmick? Was that
Because you guys were really getting into
You're
it,
not
man.
gonna kayfabe me, right?
You guys were really getting into
Y'all were,
it. We got to
like-
hear that story.
We got to hear what was really happening.
You know, we were really getting
How
into
was the
it.
sauce made?
I'll tell you what. I mean, we were really getting into it. And I got to tell you about how that particular day began. So I happened to be in Sendai, Japan. This happened to be on Valentine's Day. I'll never forget. I don't remember the exact year. Maybe it was like
Like 2014 or something.
2014.
Right?
I'm thinking.
It sounds about right. Yeah.
But I know it was Valentine's Day, February 14.
We'll go with that.
Because we had a world title match. Rob Conway defended the world title against Tenzan.
Tenzan.
You know, and he's also an awesome competitor.
Well, we're going to
You
talk
know
about
who-
him here in a bit.
Yeah, I got to meet Tenzan. Tenzan got to meet my kids, actually, which was really cool. But, so we're in this arena, sold-out arena in Sendai, Japan, and Tenzan goes to the top rope, and he's going to jump off the top rope on Rob Conway, and I try to block it. So I jump up onto the apron, and Tenzan, like, grabs the sleeve of my jacket and, like, pulls me up. And he's going to give me, like, 3 headbutts. 2, 3. Well, I kind of messed up the timing of it. And I sort of, like, leaned in a little bit. So when you...
Split open.
You, even just a centimeter, if you
Yeah.
mess up the timing. So I got a nice headbutt from Tenzan. He broke my glasses.
Oh.
It
I remember that
lacerated
shot.
my nose. Blood started pouring down. I took a bump, you know, and I see the blood coming. So, Rob Conway ended up taking a moonsault. Tenzan crashes Rob Conway's nose with his knee. So
Oh my
both-
God!
so
What a
Rob
disaster!
Rob Conway and I are both on the floor. Both of us are bleeding from the nose. Rob Conway says, "Brother, whatever you do, it wasn't his fault." So I ended up going, you know, New Japan always travels with a doctor
Yeah.
because invariably somebody always gets hurt. I mean, I've seen the Young Bucks break a hand. You know, I've seen broken necks. I've seen...
Style.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
somebody always gets hurt. Well, on this particular night in Sendai, it was
Everybody got hurt.
It was my turn. So I'm in the back, and the doctor's like stitching me up a little bit and cleaning up my nose and stuff. And so little do I know, but while I'm getting stitched up by the doctor, Shinsuke Nakamura puts on my jacket and my glasses. Yeah. I have this awesome fuchsia jacket with fuchsia glasses.
Everything that Jericho stole from you.
Well, I'm not going to say.
I'm going to say it for you.
Well, Shinsuke Nakamura put on my jacket and posed with some pictures with my gimmick on. So
that's how it began.
So the next day, we're on the New Japan bus. And we're going to the next town. And I'm looking at the New Japan feed that's coming across. And I see some pictures of Shinsuke Nakamura. And I'm like, I said,
this is great.
That looks like my jacket. And I'm like, hey, goddammit, that's my jacket! Yeah. And it was Shinsuke Nakamura wearing my jacket and my glasses. It was a rib on me from Shinsuke Nakamura.
And you were asleep. You were passed
out. That's how it started. So we started, tweeting back and forth,
Yeah.
People don't realize when the tweet war started.
It went over for like 9 months or so.
Well,
it went on for a long time.
The best part is Shinsuke was sitting right behind me on the bus.
You were working all of us.
He was sitting right behind me. And we were tweeting back and forth. That's awesome. But I got to tell you this about Shinsuke Nakamura. He has got to be one of the most talented wrestlers.
He's amazing, dude.
That I have ever seen. It was a pleasure to meet him and travel with him in Japan. I know he's been in the United States with WWE for several years. And I know he's doing really well. I'm very proud of him. But he's an awesome wrestler.
He's the man, dude. Christian, show him. We got you a gift, man. We're in the Christmas spirit, brother.
No, you didn't get me a gift.
We're in the Christmas spirit, bro. Hey, Fig Hub, thank you guys.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
We got your Shinsuke.
So you got me a Shinsuke Nakamura action figure for Christmas?
Yeah, we got you another one. Give me the other. We got. Sorry, I know you're more of a Minthon box collector, so we got you that one.
The Shinsuke zombie.
So you got me the Shinsuke Nakamura collection, right? Well, guess what? I think it's time for Shinsuke to take a swim.
Hey, that's enough!
Bye-bye, Shinsuke.
That's enough!
It's a little cold today.
That's enough, Bruce. God.
Hey, no, listen, the water's not cold. Give me an ice pick, I'll show you.
What? All right, Bruce, so we wanted to talk to you about the people you met throughout your career and some of the experiences that you've had. Like, we're going to throw out some names at you and tell us how you feel about them, and, go from there. Right, so I'm going to start with Doc Gallows.
Oh, wow. Luke Gallows, I'll tell you what an awesome person he is.
He's a fake hubber too, man. We got him on our shows.
I'll tell you what, I've got to say this. Luke Gallows has regenerated himself several times, throughout his career, different gimmicks. He's a gimmick and a half himself.
Yeah, yes.
And I would have to say, I met him.
You know what's funny? I'm sorry to interrupt. He would say that you're a gimmick and a half yourself too. So he looks up to you, but you look up to him. So it's really, and he said it. I've heard him on his podcast say Bruce Tharpe is the last living gimmick, and I swear to God, awesome. He said that, man.
Well,
and I believe that, man. Yeah. So here's to our boy
Drew.
That's
right. And I'll tell you what, it's his birthday this week.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to
Cheers.
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows,
He's
baby.
Celebrating his 60th birthday this week.
He's only 30.
60 years old. Happy birthday, Luke.
He looks 60, but he's only 30. He looks 60, but he's really 30.
Hey, let me tell you something. Have you seen him lately?
He looks amazing.
He's ripped.
He's ripped
Luke
to the
Gallows
shreds.
has
six-pack
abs. I'm telling you, man.
Hey, speaking of abs.
I want to know what his secret is. I mean, Luke Gallows looks awesome.
He looks
but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I first met Luke Gallows in Tokyo, Japan, and he was really cool to me, welcomed me with open arms, tag team partners with Carl Anderson.
Speaking of abs.
The machine
Speaking
gun.
of abs, Machine Gun.
Both of those
has
guys
abs, baby.
Phenomenal shape. Both of them are phenomenal
man.
shape.
They're doing great shit, man.
Ripped. And in fact, I got to give a shout out to Talking Shop.
Talking Shop-a-mania.
Big fan.
So full disclosure, man. I'm sorry to cut you off. But full disclosure, for everybody watching and listening, those motherfuckers are the reason we started this show. They really are. We wanted to do something similar to what Brian Myers and the other guy. I don't talk about him.
Your boy.
Yeah, he's not my friend.
Zack Ryder. I gotta say, Matt Cardona.
We're not friends. The Major Wrestling Figure Podcast meets Dog Gallows and Carl Anderson and Talking Shop and Rocky Romero, and that's really what this show was all about. Like, that's what we started talking about. We want to talk about action figures. We want to talk about beers because that's who we really are. And those guys have been a huge inspiration. And the fact that we have our boy Bruce here, who's actually friends with these guys, is out of control, man.
Let me tell you something. You mentioned Rocky Romero.
Yeah, Rocky Romero's the man.
Rocky Romero started out just like Carl Anderson at the original New Japan dojo in L.A.
Yes, sir.
Finn Balor started out there,
yes,
too.
Sir.
He started out as Prince Devitt. That's how I met him in Japan.
Too sweet me, baby.
Prince Devitt. And Rocky Romero, of course, was Black Tiger in Japan.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal talent.
He's so underrated, man.
Oh, my goodness. And
he's the man.
Super nice guy. I have not seen Rocky in many years. I'd like to give him a shout out. Say hello.
Rocky, we love you, man.
We do love you, man. He was always so cool with me in Japan. I can remember Osaka, at the hotel, having a beer on the curb. Sitting outside the hotel, having a beer from the convenience store in Japan. Yeah. We had such a great time. Yeah. So many wonderful experiences, over in Japan.
So let's talk about Alan Jones.
Yeah.
Also known as AJ Styles.
I would have to say that, I saw AJ in person wrestle many times. Wasn't that familiar with him before I met him in Japan. I saw him a few times he was with TNA and whatnot, but he is without a doubt the best wrestler in the business today.
Yes.
In my opinion. And he's exactly where he belongs. He's an awesome wrestler. He's an awesome person.
Yes.
And it was a pleasure to get to know him in Japan. Hope our paths cross again one of these days.
Awesome. Tenzan.
The man who broke my nose. The man who busted my nose open in Sendai, Japan. And I go back to the dressing room. And my nose is bleeding, man.
That's awesome.
And Tenzan, first thing I see is Tenzan in the dressing room. He says, "Oh, Mr. Bruce, I'm so sorry. I break nose." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. My fault. So a month later, Tenzan was booked on a tour in the United States. And I took him around, to different places that he was booked. Amarillo, he was booked here in the Valley. And there was a space where he had about 3 or 4 days where he had no bookings. So I tell Tenzan, I said, "Look, you have 4 days off. Your choice. I put you in hotel or you stay me in my house."
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, I stay your house."
And that's before this beautiful remodel you've done.
So
and
Tenzan,
dude, your house is great.
Thank you.
The palatial estate.
I appreciate that. So Tenzan stays here with me at the house for 4 days. I would go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
I would come back home from court. Tenzan would be laying by the pool smoking a cigarette.
That's great.
He'd be in the kitchen cooking. He loved it. He met my son and my daughter when they were real young. They swam together here in the pool.
That's amazing.
So,
and Tenzan is literally
he became a member of the family.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk to Christian about, because he doesn't know that part of you. And Tenzan is a big part of what is happening in New Japan right now. A huge part of what's happening in New Japan today. And he's the biggest New Japan fan that I've ever met.
Awesome.
And so I told him, dude, Tenzan was hanging out at Bruce's pool.
I was like, where?
And here we are.
I was like, where? Brazo? He's like, Brazo.
I took Tenzan to Walmart, and he was pushing my kids around in the basket.
That's awesome.
I loved it. And a month later, he's broken my nose in Sendai, Japan. It's snowing.
That's awesome.
And our paths crossed together on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
That's the wrestling business, folks, And even though he busted me open, man, and trust me, it hurt. Pain is temporary. Pride is forever. You know what I mean?
Cheers to that, baby.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And let me tell you something.
Cheers.
We do this. We are involved in professional wrestling for one major reason, and that reason is love.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
We love wrestling. We love what we do, and we love you, the fans, and we appreciate. We really appreciate you and all of your support.
Yeah.
We do this for love. And even though Tenzon busted my nose open, he was here a month later, and we're brothers, and we're family, and we love each other as family, even though he busted me. That's part of the business. Blood, and the blood is real, folks. That is part of the business. You cannot fake gravity. When you pick somebody up in the air and you toss them onto the mat, you cannot fake that, and that is the most physical sort of choreography, if that's what you're going to call it. Yes, we get hurt, and yes, we put our bodies on the line, and yes, wrestlers have died in the ring.
Yes, sir.
And that's the truth. So, you know what? Don't call us fake.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, yeah, don't.
I found your Shinsuke! I found it! I found your Shinsuke!
Be sure to like and subscribe, comment, and spread the word!